Welcome to At the Inn Far, Far Away, episode 26. I am Matt. I'm here as always with Sebastian and Mike. And may the 4th be with you, boys. Or
Good
Revenge
morning.
of the 6th, really.
Absolutely.
What's going on?
Yep. Well, it's Star Wars month. It's
Absolutely.
an epic. We got here. It's going to be a month long of Star Wars content, which I'm pretty excited because I have to watch a whole bunch of Star Wars this month, which is always a good time. Yeah.
Let's just get into it now.
Sure.
Mike and I really pushed you to watch the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian. We were both really looking forward to one scene. We made you watch 2 seasons of Mandalorian for the very last scene of season 2.
Yeah.
What'd you think of it?
I was blown away by it, honestly. Like, as soon as here's a major spoiler, but I feel
it's okay.
We should just say right now this is going to be a spoiler episode for a lot of things, right? So if you don't want to get anything spoiled, then maybe go watch what we're talking about, and then come back to the podcast. But as soon as I saw the X-Wing fighter land, I was like, oh no. And then for a minute, I thought it was...
Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I did too.
I didn't know that was...
No, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that. No.
No, I didn't know that was Rosario Dawson until like almost at the end of the episode. I'm like, why do I recognize her? And then I Googled her. I'm like, oh, it's Rosario Dawson. Yeah. I'm like, oh, sick.
The perfect casting for that character.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And she's got her own show coming too. So
absolutely.
Yeah. As soon as I saw the Jedi in the black robe with the green lightsaber, I'm like, it's fucking Luke Skywalker.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was like, it has to be Luke Skywalker. And then he takes the hood off, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, as I was telling you, we kind of cut it. We kind of cut this off to save it for the podcast while we were waiting for Mike and our pre-show. But I came off the couch. I come off the couch when big wrestling stuff happens. I stand up. I scream like I'm in a live venue. I came off the couch. I hadn't come off the couch like that in years. Not since like AJ Styles entered the Royal Rumble years ago. I was convinced to myself like no,
I went from a lying down position like this to like straight up like this on my couch. I was like, no. It's I really like it when shows like this utilize actors from the movies, right? I think Marvel does it a little bit, like with the Shield. Was it the Shield? What was it called? The TV series? Yeah. But like, I think if you're in such a massive IP that don't ask for like a massive paycheck to like have a cameo in the TV series. You know what I mean? I think as an actor that really believes in the IP that you're a part of, you would do it for like a minimum pay just to come in and just put your stamp on the show, right? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like Mark Hamill could have easily probably said, well, I require this much money for this, but I don't think he would have done that. I think he would have just done it for the integrity of the show and the integrity of his character, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Plus it adds so much weight to the series too to have something like that happen, right? Because it's the guy, Star Wars is about Luke Skywalker and Anakin Skywalker and its core, right? It's about their relationship, and that's like the entire journey of the Skywalkers, right? And I was blown away by it. So I don't know what I'm going to watch next. I think it's going to be the first 3, honestly, and then I'll get back to The Mandalorian. But because I haven't seen the first one in so long.
Take a break. Take a break from Mando.
By first 3, you mean Star Wars Empire Jedi?
No, in chronological order. Yeah, just to get that out of the way.
You know what? Fair enough. I'm going to have to do it eventually, anyways.
Yeah, you do.
And we'll get into the regular, the original trilogy as we go through. So I don't think we need to cover too much here today on that.
I know we've been texting back and forth, and we have differing opinions on this one particular topic. And I think I'm at one extreme, and I think you're on the other extreme, and I think Mike's somewhere in the middle. But I really think Moff Gideon was grossly miscast. And I'm sorry to say that because I love him as an actor. Like, he was amazing in Breaking Bad. I can't remember his name, but he plays Fringe in Breaking Bad. But it's just like
Giancarlo Stanton. No, that's
No, it's like
Esposito. Giancarlo Esposito.
Yes,
it's like
Giancarlo Stanton's a baseball player. My bad.
every time he speaks, it's like he's playing to be evil, right? And the number one thing that I learned in theater is like you can't play an attitude and you can't play being evil, right? You just are. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And I think a lot of his dialogue is like, he's like, well, we have the asset. Like, he's just trying to be this evil guy, right? Instead of just being an evil guy.
If he was just Gus Fring from Breaking Bad, it would have been better. Just be cool and be completely chill about it, as opposed to.
That's my only gripe with the show is I really didn't like him as Moff Gideon, and I may be the only one that thinks that, but I don't know. I just think that fell flat for me a little bit, right? Like he's just trying to play this badass evil emperor character, right? But
I thought he was better in season 1 than he was in season 2.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Some of it might be his the dialogue choices, though, right? Like because they try to make him sound very articulate and like with the words that he uses, like we have the asset, just we have the child. Like why can't you just say that? Yeah. Like why do you have to say the asset, right? I know as a writer you're trying to make that character.
He's not a child. He's just an asset.
I understand. Yeah, no, I understand that, but it just doesn't come off. It doesn't come off as genuine or real the way he says it.
Here's the thing about Star Wars dialogue.
It's
never been great. Okay. It's never been fucking great.
You're right there.
We'll get into this more next week and the week after, but a buddy of mine has restored copies of the original trilogy in their original format. So I watched Star Wars and Empire last night with him and a couple other friends. It was rad, but yeah, from the get-go, from 77 onwards, not great dialogue.
No.
Like they're not.
It went up a step in Empire, but I think overall, no, the dialogue's cheesy, and that's what it's. And that's why I think what Favreau's doing with Mando is trying to keep it authentic to what Star Wars is, and making it cheesy on purpose. Because even Din Djarin's, all his lines are short, cheesy.
Yeah.
It is.
I did kind of try to keep reminding myself that it's now Disney and they're trying to reach young audiences as well. So a lot of like it's not going to be an adult show basically, right? Because it's trying to reach out to the young kids, people of all ages, right? So
it's like what George did with the prequels. It's the same thing. You got Ewoks, and now you got Jar Jar Binks. It's the same, and talking, and the stupid battle droids.
Yeah, I did really like it though. Like, and I'm coming off of sounding like I didn't like the series, which is not the case at all. I thought it was amazing. I really, really, really did like it. I thought Pedro Pascal is the perfect person for that. I also didn't really like Katie Sackhoff that much either. Bo-Katan.
No, she was better on Clone Wars. I thought the character was written better for that show, but
again, it's just playing an attitude the whole time, right? Mm-hmm. The best moment was at the very end where she doesn't get the Darksaber, and then it's just like you can see her broken. That was like super real, and I was just like, oh shit! Like, are they gonna scrap it out now? So, but I'll have to wait and watch season 3 to see what happens there.
There's also just so you know, they do a heavy tie-in to Mandalorian with Boba Fett. I didn't find. I think Mandalorian was probably the best so far that they've done across the board, all 3 seasons. Season 2 is my favorite, but so far, my favorite scene of that whole thing is in the finale of season 1, where it starts off with the 2 stormtroopers on the speeder bikes just bantering.
Oh,
yeah.
I fucking loved it, and there was something about their voices that was just making me mental. I couldn't figure out why it was just tickling something, and I looked it up, and it's because it was Jason Sudeikis and Adam Pally, bantering, and
it humanizes them.
And it was just, and it's allegedly it was just them going off. It's like here's your points, just here's your key points, go for it.
It humanizes them though too, right? So it brings it. They're not just like suits of armor, like they're people. Like it makes them into people. So
and here's the thing that's happened since The Force Awakens. A-list celebrities, big name people are doing cameos, and you don't notice it because they put them in stormtrooper suits and they're cool with it.
They just want to be part of the series, right?
That's right.
Yeah. I know
who released Rey.
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig.
Yes.
James Bond released Rey, and that was awesome.
And then, do you know who plays the? Oh, what's her name? Was Phantasma or something? I think I can't remember.
That's Gwendolyn Christie.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah. Game of Thrones. Wednesday.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. I mean, Wednesday. and that's cool because these are celebrity fans. These are like people our age going, "Can I be in Star Wars?" I don't care. Cover me up. Don't pay me. Can I be in Star Wars? And that's fantastic to me.
It gets a little it wears on me a little bit after a while. Like season 3, we won't spoil anything for Seb, but there's just once like, come on. It's like,
okay, really? It's the same episode where it's two.
it was a good episode too.
It's got. It's got 3 big guest stars and 2 of them fucking suck. Right. 2 of them are just god.
Tell us how you really feel.
Oh no, and they share every scene together, and it's like I can do a worse job than you challenge. It's awful.
It was. I was just like, come on. I read about it and I was like, come on. So we watched it and I'm like, oh no. It's like, you two are way better than this. Even the third one.
I don't think
that person's better than that. You don't think so?
I like the third one. Not their best work, but yeah, I like the third one. But we won't get too deep into that right now. We'll give Seb a chance for this and Mando just ended. So I mean, really, we are kind of getting into a spoiler territory. Right. First Star Wars memories, guys. This movie is older than us by months, right? Like we don't know a world where Star Wars wasn't released.
No, we don't.
What are your first Star Wars memories?
Oh,
the first Star Wars movie I've ever watched was actually Revenge of the Jedi, or Return of the Jedi, whichever it used to be called, either or.
Yeah.
Because because I moved to Canada in '84, I think. And that would have been released in 80. Was it released in 85?
83.
83. Yeah. So we had it on a VHS from neighbors. So I never watched the first 2. I watched the third one first. But that was like, I loved it. Like I kept rewatching it. It was amazing. Right. So, and then I went back eventually and rewatched them when I was the first and second one when I was a little bit older to kind of get the context of it. Right. But yeah, I would have been like 6 or 7 when I watched it for the first time. Maybe a little older, maybe 8. So.
Oh yeah, because I mean it would have been 6 when you would have been 5 when it came out in theaters.
Yeah, we were all 5 when it came because they all came out.
We all would have been 5 because it's literally all our birthdays are within 6 months of its release date.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, looking back on it, I probably shouldn't have watched it as an 8-year-old, but I did watch it as an 8-year-old.
My dad took me to see it in the theaters, and I'm sure I saw the first 2 beforehand. I don't remember the first time I saw either one of them. I do remember my dad taking me and a summer friend, because I would spend a couple weeks with my grandmother in Victoria every year. We'd come down from Nanaimo, and me and my brother would get dropped off. My dad took me and one of the kids that was also sort of visiting their grandparents for the summer to see Jedi in the theater. It was fucking amazing. But I'm sure I saw the first 2 somewhere beforehand just because I knew what was going on. Right? Like I wasn't confused. I remember going, oh, they're gonna save Han. Right? And then being terrified. You know, we'll get into that later. But, going through all the emotions of it. Mike, what about you?
I think I'm kind of like Seb. I was a little bit older. I have no memories of going to see Jedi in the theater. I don't even think I did. I can remember watching like the Ewok movie.
Yes.
The second one, the Battle for Endor. Which I watched it. I think I had it on like a VHS tape with that and like Return of the Jedi, and Temple of Doom was like 3 of them back to back. And I just
you got the EP or the
and it was like
mode or whatever it was, and you got the 6 hours out of the tape. Yeah,
absolutely. And you could like we had like a free preview of Super Channel back in the day, and so we recorded all the Star Wars stuff. And for me, I think I kind of got like super nerdy about it way later. But yeah, my first memories, I'm pretty sure, is the Battle for Endor, and not really knowing anything about like Luke Skywalker, blah blah blah, and then digging in when I was like 8 or 9, really getting into the nitty gritty of like, holy crap, this is the coolest thing ever. And Empire, I was upstairs with Junior. We were watching Empire before I came downstairs, and it's just insanely rewatchable. I've seen it 1,000 times. Yeah, right. So And I watched my second favorite, episode 3, yesterday, and yes, my second favorite Star Wars
That's
movie.
fine.
I can't.
That's fine. You're allowed to have a
You
second
have to watch
favorite.
it, man. Take it with a grain of salt. The dialogue sucks.
I can't even with you, Mike.
Well, I mean, I already said it. The dialogue is stuck across the entire thing. They have some good lines here and there. They make some weird choices.
Yeah.
It's
just funny the caliber of actors, especially in the prequels with Natalie Portman and Ewan McGregor, two of a generation's best actors, and they suck. Like, it's just awful. But that's
not much you can do with shitty dialogue, though, right?
No, that's the thing, and I think that's the beauty. That's the beauty of Star Wars. It's uncomfortable. It's awkward, and it's just.
Did you guys see the clip of Hayden Christensen? I think it was because he was in Obi-Wan, right?
Yes.
With Ewan McGregor, and he was I think as a Star Wars con, and he's pretty emotional throughout the years on how he's just been slayed in the public eye on his performance, and everyone like, oh, it's one of the worst actors, blah blah blah. But he got like a standing ovation, and he was brought to tears, and he was like, I'm getting super emotional. But it's got to weigh heavy on you when you take on one of the most iconic characters of all time, and everyone hates you for it. When they came out, the first 3, right? Because everyone was like, Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen, such a bad actor. He's not. He's a great actor, but he had an impossible task ahead of him. He had to try to make that dialogue into plausible scenarios, basically. So,
and I think it was more impossible than Jake Lloyd for the Phantom Menace as a 10-year-old. At least Hayden, he was basically a grown-up.
Thank you for bringing that up, because that's been on the back of my mind as Seb was saying that. Jake Lloyd quit acting.
He did.
He no, I can't do this. Star Wars, and we got a whole show on toxic fan base coming down the pipe at some point. But Star Wars is a super toxic fan base.
Yeah,
they are the absolute worst.
Yeah.
And this is coming from a wrestling fan.
Yeah, I'd say World of Warcraft has the most toxic fan base.
You know what? We'll get into it. But Star Wars is one of the more toxic fan base. You can't do anything. You can't try anything new. They tried Solo. Solo was a new take. We're not facing a galactic empire. We don't have a Jedi in it. This is a heist movie.
Yep.
Solo had other problems of cramming too much backstory into too little time, much like Spider-Man 3 did. They had to hit on everything. If they had spaced it out, it would have worked better. But Solo is a heist movie set in Star Wars. It is not a Jedi film.
You need Jedi, though. Like George Lucas has created.
I don't think you do.
I
disagree. I think like the Bad Batch, for me, like the Bad Batch is some of the best writing. It's Favreau and Filoni, and there's no Jedis. There's nothing. It's amazing.
I'm gonna try and work my way through that.
When you put Star Wars on your title, the general public is going to assume and want lightsabers and Jedis for the most part. Some of the purists, like the ones that really enjoy good writing and whatnot, can put that aside. But like, look at the reaction that people got at the end of season 2 when Luke Skywalker comes into the picture for Mandalorian. Like, how did that elevate that entire season?
I don't think it was needed either.
I don't think it was a Jedi-based thing. That was a nostalgia pop.
Yeah,
that was all based on.
That was a Disney saying we need a Skywalker.
But the thing that works for Star Wars is the fact that he's created a phenomenon in the Force that is so mysterious and so magical and unknown that people salivate for that, right? Like, look at any time we talk about like past Jedi and past Sith and how interested everybody is in that. Like, have you ever heard of the tale of Darth Plagueis? Like that everybody wanted that. They want that story. Like they want it, but you still haven't got it yet. So the amount of energy that goes into people when they talk about Jedi and Sith and that lore specifically is on another level compared to talking about stormtroopers or a heist movie or Mandos, right? Like that's just my opinion, though. But
you struck on a good point here. Now, the thing is, the general public, a giant chunk of the people that are going to see the films and tuning into Disney, aren't doing one thing where they can satisfy that itch.
Yeah,
they're not reading.
Yeah, that's true.
If you read the books,
that's too much to read.
If you dive into it, well, you know what? They're not hard reads. You're not reading Tolstoy.
They're entertaining.
They're not thick.
But I mean,
book is awesome.
They're at hundreds of books for Star Wars at this point. Maybe not even like more than that.
Just read Plagueis. You'll get your
story.
You'll get your
Plagueis.
It's so good.
Pick and choose. Kevin J. Anderson, like follow a writer you enjoy. Kevin J. Anderson did a bunch of good trilogies. I read one. It was really cool. It was more based on sort of the Spice Mines and the Solo Children, the 3 Solo Children. The other thing they can be doing that
not the one named Ben for some odd reason.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was Ben was
Luke's. Yeah. Ben was Luke's son originally, and Jaden was Han and Leia's kid. In Legend,
it was Jana, Jaden, and Ben were all solos.
Oh,
they just cut out the twins. They cut the twins out. I thought honestly that's where Force Awakens and the sequel trilogies were going, was finding out that Rey is the twin, and they definitely set it up. I think we'll get into that later because I'll go off on a rant. The other thing is I strongly recommend Marvel Comics is doing a fantastic job filling in the holes. So when Force Awakens came out, Marvel had the rights. They started producing comics. The Star Wars comics filled in the hole between Star Wars and Empire. After 75 issues, they stopped that. They jumped forward, and now they're filling in the hole between Empire and Jedi, and they seem to be wrapping it up. It's been 3.5 years of this, or almost 3 years. It's really good because I think one thing that really fucks with Star Wars fans, that really causes needling at plot points, is they're really bad at explaining how long these things take. Mm-hmm. Empire probably didn't happen in the course of a couple of days like it seems. They don't have light speed, and they're going from one solar system to another. That's going to take a while.
Yeah, they just get that like shift in like the scene, and then they're on another part of the galaxy.
And I think they do that thing that Westworld took advantage of, and I don't think they did it on purpose, where Luke is going through stuff, but what Luke is going for is not an exact time match to what's going on with Han and Leia and Chewie. I think that's the biggest problem there, is they did a shit job of explaining it. Like, we're going to light speed. Light takes 8 minutes to get from the sun to the Earth. Go light speed all you want. It's still going to take you for fucking ever to get out of the solar system.
Oh, yep.
Right? And they don't have a hyperdrive. So, I mean, let's just take the light speed math out of the equation. They don't have a hyperdrive, so they're going to creep along on this whole thing, which is why the Empire got ahead of them. Right?
I mean, if you want to get into it, it would have taken them, I think I looked it up, it was 870,000 years to create the Death Star.
Yeah.
If you actually want to like get into the specifics of what it would take to make something like that.
Yeah. No big deal.
And the recoil from the laser alone would have sent it flying out of orbit.
But so there's lots of stuff. And you know what? And plot holes are a big thing. I'm going to recommend the Marvel Comics, like the Star Wars series itself. They did a whole thing, War of the Bounty Hunters. There was a big crossover for it, and this is what the Bounty Hunters and Vader and our main Star Wars folks and a couple other comic book, like Chrysanthemum's in there that you see him in Mando, and a few others, and they're all warring over one thing, Han and the Carbonite. Mm-hmm. They're all trying to get Han. Some are trying to get him back. Some are trying to use him for bait. Some are trying to use him to get to Jabba and get the money. And what this whole arc was about was it's past the Han. Who's got him? Who can get him? Where is he? And so it takes a long time to flesh this out. The other thing they've done is Darth Vader.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, that's amazing.
2 of the 3 series are just set like Star Wars. One happens between Empire and Star Wars. One happens between Empire and Jedi. And then the third one, which is only 25 issues, happens between Rogue One and...
Well, shortly after he turned, right?
Have you read them all, Matt?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, nice.
I've read the 25 issue one with the one where he just
didn't I send you my login for that?
No.
Okay.
I watched them on YouTube.
Oh, there you go. It's and it's great. And the 25 series is all why Vader is a feared bad BMF.
Yeah, he's a bad mama drama.
That's right.
Speaking of Vader,
I'm just going to share real quick a couple of my favorite covers. Like, I love that. That is just right there. That's just, it's your ass.
Yeah, that's so
you
sick.
come around the corner, the door opens, and you see that. It's your ass. Right?
It's even the breath. Like, hearing the breath, you're like, oh, shit. Yeah. I watched something on YouTube the other day, actually, when I was just looking at Star Wars stuff for this podcast. Do you know why Vader's lightsaber is unique and special?
Because he made it bleed.
It's got 2 crystals in it.
Oh, yes.
So
right, I forgot about that.
It can shorten or lengthen based on what combat he's in. So if he's in like really close combat, he can shorten his lightsaber. Apparently, that's according to the video. It's a dual crystal lightsaber, so it has 2 lengths, which was pretty fascinating actually. Because when let's say you're fighting him as a Jedi and you're used to one length of his lightsaber, and he just switches it up on you. Now you haven't accounted for like the extra inches. Sorry, but so yeah, it was just fascinating, and it's a YouTube video, so I'm not sure if that's like canon or not, but that's what they explained in it. So
well, there's again a lot of this lore is coming from the books, and it's coming from the comics, and it's coming from the fill-in. And there's another one of my favorite Darth Vader covers right there. He had been battling a sea beast in this arc, and he's just rising back out of the water. And again, it's your ass. A lot of this lore is being pulled, and there's a big uproar because Disney's like, everything's wiped out. We're doing our own thing, and oh my god, they destroyed all the canon. Well, no, they're cherry picking the canon now.
Yes, they are.
They didn't desroy all of it, but they're
cherry picking it, and it's brilliant because
I think they're doing a good job, actually.
Yeah. Actually,
they have no good ideas moving forward either, so they kind of have to cherry pick.
Well, we'll see what the next 3 Star Wars are all about, right? Because with the whole Rey thing and her trying to rebuild the Jedi, hey, don't scoff at it. What else are they gonna do? Rey's a beloved character, right? Like,
yeah, she is.
Ask your daughter, Mike.
Like most of these
ask your daughter, Mike.
Like a 2-on-1 sort
of
her
thing. Her favorite Star Wars is Episode 2. So
really, well, didn't she dress up as Rey for Halloween?
She was. Yeah, unfortunately.
Don't hate on Rey.
I'm not hating on Rey.
This is the guy that likes the 3rd Star Wars as his second favorite.
I like
so
okay, whatever. When was the last time you watched? When was the last time you watched Episode 3?
I like Episode 3. It's good, but it's not. It's not better than the first original 3, and I'm even going to say that most of the last 3 are better than the 3rd one.
No, I don't. I totally disagree.
This is why we don't do these in the same room, right?
I'd
throw my cat at Mike's face.
you would. You totally would. I think I'm just trying to word this so I don't sound like a complete doorknob, but
you were supposed to be the chosen one, Anakin.
Well, yeah, but okay, forget the dialogue. We get the prequel dialogue sucks. Episode 3 is all awkward and weird, but the story of how Vader became to be is the best thing for me about Star Wars. Like, it's just that whole him being fooled by Palpatine, and even Ian McDiarmid, a great theater actor, he's terrible in Episode 3. He is so over the top and so crazy.
That's what he was asked to do, though, I think.
Exactly, and I think that's what. And I don't know, like it's fresh in my mind. I watched it yesterday.
Here's my
that fucking teddy bears are going to kill stormtroopers and win. Give me a break.
So, okay. Here's
we gloss over that.
Okay, go. Sorry.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
Let's get into the Ewoks and stormtroopers thing.
Fuck Ewoks, man. Fuck the Ewoks. They're cute.
Fuck the Ewoks.
Like, how inept are those stormtroopers? Seriously.
Well, I mean, they're been fairly well established. They aren't the greatest.
Yeah, but come on.
Don't you think that they retcon the whole they're clones, therefore they're defective?
Those weren't. No,
that's the thing.
Not clones. Those guys aren't clones.
Yeah, the original stuff were clones, and then they've moved into conscription and stuff. Han Solo, I mean, you see it briefly in Solo, but Han was recruited into the Imperial Navy, and then was Han and got himself kicked into the infantry. There's a great comic book series on that too, called Han Solo Imperial Cadet.
Bad Batch. The Bad Batch is the big storyline. Is basically the clones sort of being phased out and then conscripting regular people. That's
absolutely.
So they're not military people. They're regular people that don't know how to fucking shoot a gun.
It's an army. It's an army. It's an
regular army of regular people.
Yeah,
so you shouldn't let teddy bears kill you. Come on, man.
Hey, those teddy bears are resilient, man. It's like it's guerrilla warfare, bro.
The best parts of Jedi are like the 5 minutes between Vader and Luke. That's for me. That's
it. That's son of a.
Well, that's what everybody wants to see is the Vader and Luke. They needed more of that.
Well, and again,
more of Vader and Luke. That was like literally all three of the episodes, pretty much.
They were in it for like it's like 9 minutes of 3 movies they were together talking. That's it,
dude. That fight scene at the end is like so long, man.
Yeah, and you need more of that. I don't need.
No, it's fine. It's fine the way it is.
Okay. Whatever.
No, I mean, I think Mike does have a point. That was the core of it.
That's the core of Star Wars.
And they've done it for 3 movies. Like it was 3 movies worth of stuff. Their relationship between Anakin and Luke.
Okay, we'll get into this.
Okay,
we have a lot of stuff to cover still.
Let me tell you this though. Okay, this is a hot take for me. They should have never. Well, I know technically they didn't kill him off because he survives, but at the Phantom Menace. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's alleged that he's dead. Like they needed to keep Darth Maul as the villain for the first 3 movies.
They retconned that one. They retconned the shit out of it for Clone Wars, and that is one of my problems with the prequels. Is it's
there's lack of a super villain, really, right?
It's unrealized.
They have 3 badasses in there. Grievous and Dooku and Darth Maul were all done dirty. I mean,
I think Darth Maul is the second best villain they've ever created in the Star Wars IP. And
he looks fucking cool.
So cool. I think if you made him the villain and Anakin's inability to thwart him would have been a better story for him to turn to the dark side to finally overcome this great evil, right? Because he can't kill him. He just keeps coming. Darth Maul just keeps coming, keeps winning, and Anakin keeps having to funnel into the dark side to be able to battle him. Like I think that would have been a better story. Do you guys have heard?
We got more Darth Maul coming.
Yeah. Okay.
They did tease it. Again, and I keep going back to it. But the Marvel Comics, a series called Hidden Empire, picks up relatively quick after Solo. Actually, I think it's after Empire with the same sort of characters. But Darth Maul is still around and kicking. They teased that at the end of Solo. That's who is running the criminal empire is Maul. Mm-hmm. Dropped the Darth now. I'm looking forward to seeing how they work him in there.
He's in Rebels. He's in the Clone Wars. Yeah.
Let me ask you guys a question because we're talking about Darth Maul here and the first couple. Do you think they changed the entire script for the second movie when the rumor that Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord came out and everyone hated Jar Jar Binks? You guys heard about that rumor, right?
There's a video on YouTube about it. It's hilarious.
Do you believe it?
Here's the thing about Jar Jar. I believe they changed the script.
Yeah.
I 100% believe it. I think they changed it because, everybody thinks this guy is a fucking moron. So we're going to write it in that he is so stupid, he's the one that actually hands the Republic over to Palpatine.
Yeah.
I actually believe that George Lucas was toying with the idea of Jar Jar Binks being a Sith Lord.
I don't.
Because it's an echo of Yoda. Right?
You said Darth Jar Jar.
But, okay, so for those of you that don't know, there's a video out there on YouTube that explains that Jar Jar Binks is possibly the Sith Lord, is like the main villain of,
it's a fan theory.
The first. It's a fan theory. Awesome. But the one caveat to that, which kind of makes me think that this could have been a reality, is that the first 3 movies, that they're supposed to be echoes of the 4, 5, and 6, right? And so when you have like a bumbling idiot as your Jedi Master and Yoda, why would you not have a quasi bumbling idiot as your Sith Master as well? in Jar Jar Binks.
Hold on. At what point was Yoda a bumbling idiot?
Well, when
that's
met
the
him,
way they
no,
perceived him to be.
That was him testing Luke.
It was just a test, right? That's
that
all
was
Yes.
him testing Luke. At no point was Yoda a bumbling idiot, and I will fight you on this.
No, he's not. But that's the way he was portraying himself.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah,
I like some of the fan theories. The Jar Jar as a Sith Lord fan theory is cool. However, it's bullshit because it would have been an easier realization to bring him in as the villain of 3 and do like you said, where Anakin's like, what the hell, and has to go dark side to do it. The other theory I like, the one I subscribe to, is Jar Jar realizes where he fucked up and ends up a homeless, drunk addict living in the bottom levels of Coruscant, going, I fucked the galaxy over. Yep. And he is a wasted homeless man. He's been cast aside by everybody. His friends are dead or not even thinking about him or pissed because they realized that he got played. He is incapable of doing anything about it because he's Jar Jar. Mm-hmm. And everything he did, heroically was basically him tripping over something. That's the one I like. However, I've seen some of the fan art of Darth Jar Jar, and it does look pretty badass.
It looks so good, man.
It looks really bad. And that's the thing, is with all these fan theories, that's where it really gets divisive. I think
I don't know, man. I think there's more truth to that than you guys probably give it credit for.
Well, the thing is, sooner or later, they're going to have to address it somewhere. Whether it is in the comic books, whether it is in a novel, whether it is on a TV show or an animated series, they're going to have to address it. I think we just have to be patient.
Yeah.
I think the core of the prequels, for me anyway, is Palpatine's weaving, playing every which side, and just basically he duped everybody. We all know that, but I think to pull that off in a good way is very hard, because you got this. You got this guy behind this. You got the wizard behind the curtain. But yet, he's out there, and we all know. Okay, we all know Palpatine is going to be. He's doing it all, and it was impossible to make it surprising.
And I think that's why they like. If this was a reality, I think they made it. They went the correct way of introducing Dooku and Palpatine and whatnot, right? Like I think they.
And he's just sort of as cool as Maul was, as cool as Grievous was, as sinister is probably a good word, as Dooku was. They're just pawns on the board, sort of thing. I can get behind that.
A means to an end. That's all they were. All of it was just the clones, everything, the droids, all the shit was just a means for Palpatine to take control and bide his time to get Anakin by his side.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, fair enough, because I mean,
it just wasn't pulled off. It just wasn't pulled off very well.
He comes in as Force Jesus, right? Like he's
absolutely
a virgin.
He's the chosen one, right?
I'm not going to use the MC.
You were the chosen one, Anakin.
But,
you're supposed to destroy the Sith.
Now, I think they can easily address Jar Jar in any of the Mandalorian era stuff. So whether they use
I'd be so cool. I'd be so happy they brought him
Boba Fett or Ahsoka or something in that era where. I mean, it doesn't have to be major. Just we need this something or other. They run into him, and he is this down and out, and it's like his deathbed sort of thing. It doesn't have to be a long scene. It could just be, you're Jar Jar Binks, and it's like Misa dying or whatever, right? Like it doesn't have to be a whole drawn out plot point, or it could even be, it's like, we have to rescue this prisoner's been in here for 30 years. And they opened, like when they did the jailbreaks in Mandalorian, they say, well, this guy's been in here for 30 years. That's probably unfair. They break him out, and he's old, broken down. He's like, they locked me up after they got what they wanted, and nobody came to find me, right?
Yeah.
I think there's ways to address it quickly. We don't have to lean into a whole series or a whole movie on it, but I mean, it really is something that can be addressed. As far as the Palpatine thing goes, this leans into they cherry picking lore. Dark Horse Comics, who had the rights for Star Wars through the 90s, did a lot of really good stuff. One of them was called Dark Empire, where Luke discovers that the Emperor is not dead. That was his spirit leaving his body and going into a clone. And he's got all these clone forms and is able to go take his spirit and move it into another clone and start all over again as a younger man. And because of the power he wields on the dark side, the bodies don't last long. It's like a demon possession story and other things where the body can't sustain the level of power, and that's why he looks the way he does. They cherry picked some of that, and it was great. And there's a lot of really good like ancient Jedi stuff in those Dark Horse comics. FYI, if you guys are ever out anywhere and you run across Star Wars Dark Horse comics, get them for me. I will pay you. They're really hard to find right now.
Matt, I wouldn't even know where to go to get a comic book at this point. Nope. I wouldn't even know where to go to get a comic book at this point. Well, Toy Traders? Toy Traders probably has it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right.
But I mean, it's hard.
Okay, so I know one place.
It's hard to find the back issues because nobody's letting go of the Dark Horse stuff, because that is where stuff is getting cherry picked from as well. So when they start going back 1,000 years into Tales of the Jedi stuff, there is some really good content. It was really, really good writing.
Well, they are going back 1,000. They're doing the High Jedi show.
Yeah.
The High Republic.
So that is going to make anything with the Dark Horse label Tales of the Jedi on it very valuable very quickly. I don't have enough for my own liking, and it unfortunately, as I had discovered it, my comic shop closed in the mid-90s, and I lost it. So garage sales are great because they're cheap. Nobody knows what they have. Just like, oh yeah, we'll take care of it, and just let me know.
So you brought something up that actually instantly triggered something for me. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this. You guys probably are, but you know who James Mangold is, right? The director from Logan, Indiana Jones.
He's in the High Republic.
That's like the first Jedi.
Yeah.
Okay, is that what it's called, the High Republic? About the first Jedi ever? Oh, that's going to be interesting. I want to see that
stuff. I'm really excited to see how some of this new stuff goes. I don't know. I don't want it to become Marvel-like, where we have a glut and they hammer it out to a point where it's like, okay, we've hit a high water mark, we got to dial it back. I think if they stay steady, like Marvel is doing now, it's like, okay, you'll get a film maybe once a year. I would dial it back even further for Star Wars. And
Kathleen Kennedy said she wants to do a movie every 3 years.
Yes, and I'm fine with that. That was the original schedule. That's the schedule they stuck with for the prequels. They rushed it a little more. I think it was 1.5 years for the sequel trilogy.
I think it was 3 actually.
Was it?
Because Force Awakens was 14, and I think 8 was 17. And then they rushed because 9 was in 2019, right?
Yeah, it was pre-pandemic.
COVID, so they rushed.
Definitely was pre-pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, and then they sandwiched Rogue One and Solo in between them.
It was too much. I love Star Wars, and it was too much.
Yeah, so like
it was way too much.
And yeah, it may be once a year, once every 2 years, and then give us some of the longer story, the content on Disney Plus, and don't hammer out live action. Take advantage of the fact that the Clone Wars animated and the Bad Batch animated have a following.
Absolutely.
Don't stick in the same era either. Like, let's see what happens 1,000 years down the line with the Jedi. Let's. Have you guys seen Star Wars Visions at all?
No, it's on my list to watch.
I was watching some of season 2 last night. I watched most of season 1. These are animated series. Are you familiar with The Matrix? Can't remember what the title of it, but Anna. Yeah, the Animatrix. And it was all shorter, chopped up stories, 10, 15 minutes long. It's the same sort of style. It's all different animation studios. It's, we were watching one that was a very artsy Aeon Flux style.
Visions isn't in my watch order though.
It's all side story. There's nothing.
Okay.
There's absolutely nothing tying it to the main storyline. It jumps all over the place as far as characters and as far as eras. And some is Jedi, some are Sith, some are just not any of the above. it's sort of like that, kind of like and it's just little piecemeal, little small stories. One I think you'd really enjoy. I think it's the first episode is a very black and white anime style samurai Jedi story, which was rad. Highly recommend this stuff. If you're not looking to sit down and binge or hammer through a series or a movie, this is stuff you can just break off in 15, 20 minutes on another screen as you're gaming. And some of that content is really good.
Just it's hit and miss, it on there, yeah.
But you can just throw it on, kill 20 minutes, right? I really enjoyed that too.
I'm doing it through, like, I have a watch order through the chronological order, which is 23 shows / movies, basically. So it's basically just going through chronological order of when the events happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's
so to speak. So sure. that's how I'm tackling it. But I'll probably throw Vision in there, I guess, at some point.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just sitting around gaming, right, just throw it on a side screen. Because I mean, and there's this thing of overdosing too, right? Like if we get too deep down a rabbit hole, some days we're just like, I don't ever want to see any of this shit again.
Yeah. Well, there's 7 seasons of Clone Wars, and there's like 25 episodes a season. It's like, holy shit!
That's a lot to get through.
Except for season 7, I think 7 is I want to say it's 15, but still, it's shorter. But you could even skip a lot of it and just go to season 7. It's brilliant. And you need to watch some of Rebels as well to get Ahsoka's backstory, because apparently Ahsoka is season 5 of Rebels, basically. Mm-hmm. So if you haven't watched Rebels, you're going to get lost.
Well, it tells me to watch. This is the order. Do you want me to give you the order?
Please.
Sure.
Okay, so The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, the Clone Wars animated movie, the Clone Wars animated series, Revenge of the Sith, The Bad Batch, Solo, Obi-Wan, Star Wars Rebels, the animated series, Andor, Season 1, Rogue One, A New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi, Mandalorian 1, Mandalorian 2, Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian 3, Star Wars Renaissance Season 1, Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, Star Wars Renaissance Season 2, and The Rise of Skywalker.
Okay, so I don't know if you saw me grimace there when you said one thing.
No.
Because they're about to drop 8 episodes right in the center of your order. Andor Season 2, the last 3 episodes cover the 3 days right before Rogue One.
Isn't the whole season 2 is the 3 days, right? It's just
at least the last 3 episodes is
I
what
think it's the whole season. It's just a 3-day arc.
So I should watch Andor Season 1 and then watch Andor Season 2 and then watch Rogue One.
Yeah, which is not out yet.
Yeah. This is
I haven't even finished.
You got time. Right? It's and so Rogue One, let's touch on that for a minute here. We were discussing it last night as we were watching Star Wars, because as these things go on, it's like you're pulling out all the usual plot points. It's like, really, they put this one reactor in there? Really, they did this? Rogue One was a 2-hour plus movie of basically rumor killers and spackling plot holes. Would you guys agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, how can they just fire this one thing and do it?
Honestly.
Well, because one guy designed it that way because he's like, this can't exist.
Yeah.
Right? Like, well, and then how did they just get the thing? It's like, well, this is how they did it. Like, Rogue One, as great, and don't get me wrong, Rogue One was fantastic. It was 2 hours of spackle for plot holes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how do we fix this?
Right.
Yeah, how do we shut these people up finally? Right? Because, I mean, sometimes you just write and it's like, I'll figure it out later. Now, the Star Wars writing team down there at Disney has this added bonus where they're like, oh, all these other writers that did books and other TV series and the fan theories are out there. It's like, we just got to pick the one that fits best. This is great. This is the plot point we're going to lift off. This is this spackle here. This is this spackle here.
Yeah, I guess you have the luxury of looking at Reddit or Star Wars forums and trying to see what people come up with. They go, we could use that idea.
Yeah. I mean, you can go back to the 70s Star Wars comic book series and lift stuff. Right? It's like,
yeah.
Okay,
that's a good advantage to have.
A bunch of research and figure out what fits it best. Like I said, with Jar Jar, there's lots of ways to do it.
I still think he's a Sith Lord.
You could open that, like I said, you could open that prison cell or that vault and find that he's sitting in there with a red lightsaber going, used to figured it out, did yous? Like, It's what fits best for the story, what fits best for where you're trying to go. How do we fill this hole properly?
What would have been really cool is like if, let's say, he was a Sith Lord, and as soon as he talks in his Sith Lord, he talks like super normal, and you're just like, oh my god, he was just playing, because that would have made more sense, right?
So like a full Kaiser Soze thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, I'm with it.
That would have been sick. I just want to see Jar Jar Binks as a Sith Lord. Like, that's what it all comes down to. That's my number one wish. Give him a red lightsaber and let him rip some shit up.
Yeah, they should give him his own show.
I like
a limited series and show the
there's probably like a fan created animated movie with Jar Jar Binks as a Sith Lord or something.
And you know what? Actually, now that you mention it, they could tell the story of Jar Jar in a 20-minute deal on Visions too.
Yeah, that's true.
They can just go, okay, we're not dedicating anything extra to this. Here's what happened.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting question for you guys. If you could recast any Star Wars character with like an actor from today, who would it be?
Are we talking like anywhere?
Well, let's stick to the movies.
Trilogy?
Anywhere. Like if you think what character's been miscast in any of the movies or whatnot, do you see someone, or do you see an actor who is destined to be in Star Wars for that hasn't been a Star Wars person yet? Because we did talk about how a lot of actors want the cameo in Star Wars just to be in Star Wars. Is there an actor that hasn't been in Star Wars that you're like, this guy needs to be a Star Wars character?
Yeah,
or girl.
Sebastian Stan could be young Luke Skywalker in his own Luke Skywalker show. He looks just like Mark Hamill.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Just like Mark Hamill did when he was young.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool. The only way you can do it without deep faking it, of course.
I mean, I'm just going to go to my time-honored true person and say Dwayne The Rock. No, just kidding.
I will throw all my Star Wars shit out if Dwayne Johnson is in the Star Wars anything.
I've been a big fan of DJ for many years. No.
No.
I'm just gonna go no. That's a solid question. I mean, my initial gut instinct was to take Liam Neeson out of the role he was wasted in. Like I think
he does his best as Qui-Gon Jinn.
I think he was absolutely wasted in it. I was upset when they killed him off too. I thought there'd be a bigger part there.
I have a good one.
I can't.
I have a good one.
Okay, go.
George Clooney is the Emperor.
Mila Jovovich.
Oh, As who?
I think she would have been. She would be perfect for Star Wars.
Where would you put her?
As a Jedi. Maybe as like. Here's actually, you know what?
She could be Jar Jar. She could be Lily.
No. I have.
Be Jar Jar.
So okay, I'm just looking at images of her because she's absolutely gorgeous. But never mind that.
Camera's still on, buddy. Camera's still on.
Okay. Hear me out, and I'm just completely spitballing. Mila Jovovich comes into Star Wars as the first like featured gray Jedi.
Define gray Jedi. I haven't heard.
The gray Jedi is the Jedi that sits between the light and dark side. They embrace both aspects of light and dark.
Like an unaligned Force user.
Yes. Have you never heard of the gray Jedi?
I've heard it referred to as unaligned Force user. I haven't heard of it as gray Jedi, but it makes sense. Okay.
The term gray Jedi or gray had two meanings. First, it was used by Jedi and Sith to describe Force users who walk the line between the light and dark sides of the Force without surrendering to the dark side. And second, it described Jedi who distanced themselves from the Jedi High Council and operated outside the structures of the Jedi Code. So,
I think that's great. Disney would never do.
For example, Qui-Gon Jinn was thought of by some members of the Jedi Order as a gray Jedi, but he technically wasn't, obviously, right? A group of renegade Jedi called the Grey Paladins used this way to describe themselves. They advocated minimal reliance on the Force and the use of blasters, but otherwise held to the Jedi Code. So, I don't know, it's a thing I learned about many years ago playing video games, basically, But yeah.
Okay, and you know what? I think that's something we haven't touched on yet either.
Yeah.
Is the video game aspect of it.
Well, there's a new one out now that's
which
hitting.
Is apparently badass. One of the guys I was watching
my son's
Star Wars with last night really said he paid $100 for it.
It's so expensive, though.
And he said it is worth every penny.
Yeah, it's very good.
Fallen Order was really, really good and very playable and very well worth it. And what's this called?
Jedi Survivor.
Jedi Survivor.
Yeah. It's It's $89 plus tax or whatever, right? But
yeah, so about $100, right? And he says, far and away the best value yet. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not putting $100 into it, but I'll definitely keep an eye on it. Star Wars video games. What do you guys remember about those going back to the day? I remember the original arcade game, which was very much like the original, like wire model graphics.
So
I started.
I played both of the MMOs briefly. The first one I think was called Galaxies. Star Wars Galaxies was freaking terrible. Yes. I played that for like a hot minute, then realized there's literally nothing to do in the game. And then the second one I kind of played casually, but it just didn't replace at the time WoW for me, which is World of Warcraft. And so I played it for, a good chunk of the early game, and then it got more difficult as you get higher level, and I just kind of fell off of it. I played, oh man, there was an X-Wing fighting game. I can't remember what it was called.
Rogue Squadron.
I don't know if it was Rogue Squadron. It might have been Rogue Squadron. It's an old school game though, and I played the shit out of that one. Was it Rogue Squadron?
Yeah, well, there's also X-Wing. I had
I think it was X-Wing. I think it was actually called X-Wing.
Computer. So I had I had the Empire version of that TIE Fighter. That was cool. I never got into computer gaming though.
I'm pretty sure it was actually called Star Wars X-Wing.
Yeah, you're probably 100% correct. Do you remember the SNES Star Wars trilogy they brought out? It was a side scroller. And they brought out one for each movie. Those were really cool, and they got really hard as you went along.
There was the arcade game that I played where you do the Death Star run at the end of Star Wars.
That was in Colossus for years.
That was pretty sick. That was a lot of fun to play.
I haven't looked at the Colossus arcade in a while, but for my entire tenure of a decade, it was the only machine that never moved. It stayed popular, and it was there long after I left. So I might have had a 15 or 20 year run at Colossus. I think, to be honest, it might still be there. I just never go into that theater anymore.
I think the best game that they've came out with, from what my knowledge is, other than maybe Jedi Survivor, which has pretty strong reviews right now, I believe, is the Star Wars Battlefront series. I think those are like shooters, basically. I think that was... Yeah. I haven't played it, but I've heard it's the Battlefront series or Battlefield series is very strong.
They're fun, but the controls are very limiting. Like
really,
I don't like the way they play. Like it's
on console or on PC, because I feel like it'd be different on a PC. Is it on PC?
It is on PC. I've played it on both, and I don't like the way it plays at all. Like I'm kind of that way with Battlefield too. Like when I used to play shooters, I was sort of like a Call of Duty kind of guy, where it's a lot more sort of.
Do you play Call of Duty? I didn't know that.
I used to. I haven't, not for years. Like
I tried playing that, and
it's hard. Yeah, like I watched my son play. Kid's like he's like a wizard. He's so good. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not a 14-year-old video game savant. I can't play games like that anymore.
I'm too slow now. But yeah, Battlefront's fun. Like the story's fun. And it's fun to get in there, and you can be an Ewok if you really wanted to and go shoot people. But do you guys remember? I don't know if you talked about when I left the room, the Nintendo 64 Shadows of the Empire, or was it Battlefront? I can't remember what it was called.
Well, I have a whole list pulled up here of Star Wars games. Yeah, I think it was, I think it was Shadows of the Empire or something like that.
It was really
but they also did the pod racing one, which it was okay. It was very limited. Let me see if I can find the exact title on that.
I love pod racing. So much fun.
Right?
There's another game that was
Battlefront. I think I had Battlefront too. I didn't like the controls. I never got deep into it.
No, it was wacko.
And the one I did really enjoy though was Force Unleashed series.
Yes. Oh yeah.
It was still. I'm a much bigger open world game connoisseur at this point in my life, and Force Unleashed was a little more linear, but it still had some elements. I really enjoyed that.
It was fun throwing people around and throwing stuff at people.
Pulling Star Destroyers out of the sky? Absolutely.
I think the Fallen Order was pretty good too. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Yes, that was the one right before this last one, right before Survivor.
Yeah. That was out like 3 years ago, I want to say, or 4 years ago. I think the one thing that they haven't really hit a home run with is the MMO market. The Star Wars Galaxies, and I think the other one was the Old Republic, I think it was called, was the second version of the MMO genre, open world MMO. But they've never really grasped that IP in a massive way. Not at the level of like Final Fantasy or World of Warcraft or Guild Wars or any of the big MMOs. I could be wrong, but
Mike is correct. Yeah, I do have it pulled up. It was Shadows of the Empire. It came out in '96. Okay. I think the games have been a little hit and miss. The one that I have been playing for years though is their mobile game. Have you heard of this one?
No.
It's Star Wars Galactic Heroes. It's shot on my phone there. You unlock a bunch of the characters, you power them up, you do the whole thing, and it's like an old school RPG, 5-on-5, or straight up
fun.
Mix and match your teams. It's addictive. Yeah. I'm several hundred characters into it. I am several years into it. I mean, and they're pulling stuff from the shows. Something new comes out.
Max out my credit card on it. It's fine.
I've never dropped a dime on any of these
microtransactions.
I will farm for 2 months to get the thing I need, rather than drop $1.99 on it. I don't do it. And I got the same with my Marvel.
It's all about the farming too, right? It's kind of the like that carrot they're dangling. This you could pay if you want, but you could take, like you say, 2 months to get something.
Or if you pay, you can do it in 2 days. Right? Come on.
Yeah. Exactly, and I'm not into it. I'm currently trying to. I'm farming to unlock General Anakin Skywalker.
Ooh, nice.
That's.
I don't mind. I actually don't mind microtransactions at this point, because I think that's a business model a lot of games are doing, and if you like the IP and want to support the company, why not just throw them a couple bucks, right? So there's a game that I play, Path of Exile. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a Diablo-like game. You can play the entire game for free, but their microtransactions make your experience better. So you can do a bunch of microtransactions that increase your bag space and organize your bank vaults and stuff like that, and color code things, right? So if you really enjoy the game, you drop like $10 for a super backpack instead of the one that you normally have, right? So, you don't need it to play the end game with it, but it helps the quality of life of the game. It's not even cosmetic; it's the quality of life of the game. It makes things easier, right?
But my thing with these, especially the mobile games, I give enough money to Star Wars as a franchise, and I give enough money to Marvel as a franchise. Y'all can comp me this, right? Yep. Like, absolutely, keep some stuff back. It's like going to Vegas and they comp you a drink. It's like, okay, well, we'll give you.
But they got to recoup the $4 billion that they spent on Star Wars.
You're getting like lower shelf stuff because they're comping it to you, or you can pay for the higher shelf stuff. I'm like, you know what? Whatever. It's going to do all the same job. I'm wearing Mandalorian socks. I'm wearing my Mandalorian hat. I have my, which I couldn't find this morning. I wanted to wear my
hoodie. You're wearing your C-3PO underwear?
No, it's Jedi underwear, and the lightsaber does a really cool trick if you're nice to me.
It's like Darth Vader's. It goes 2 different sizes.
It's the short one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, it's more like one of the Force daggers that she uses at the end of Solo there. But, it's just one of those things where I don't have a problem supporting the franchise. It's just I'm giving you enough money I have other things in my life I need to spend the $1.99 on. Like that. I got 4 kids, man. It's just the way it is. Like I'm taking this comp. Absolutely. You keep your top shelf stuff over there. I will wait for the new character. I will get my ass kicked. I don't need to be top in the world at anything. It's just, this is my time killer. This is what I play when my wife has got control of the remote and she's watching a show I don't like that much, or we're watching a game show that I don't need to be as invested in, or whatever it is. I'm killing time at work because I'm watching a scale either go up or go down for half an hour. It's also the same reason I don't need to watch the trailers.
Yeah.
There's a Star Wars movie coming out. Okay, I'll go buy a ticket. I'm probably going to buy it so that I have it in my my iCloud library so I can watch it whenever I want. I don't have to worry about it being pulled from Netflix or Disney or Crave or whatever. I'm just going to here's my money. You've announced it. Take my money now. I'll see you when it's done.
Yeah.
And so this is just the way I look at it. It's like the franchise is making $1 billion. I'll take this bit for free.
Yeah. It's kind of like all their collaborations, like with Fortnite. You can, right now there's a big another Star Wars one going on. And I started playing again just so I could get some of the shit, because it's fun to run around as a stormtrooper and shoot people.
Right. I mean, it's
just fun.
Yeah.
One of the Mortal Kombats had Darth Vader in it.
That's amazing.
Which was
the
cool.
Last one, Mortal Kombat 10. They have a whole bunch of hidden characters you can get. They have Batman. They have the Joker. They have Jason Voorhees.
The Predator's in there. The Aliens in there.
That's right. Yeah.
I had Mortal Kombat 10, and I was playing that hardcore with the boy for a while. Like I said on our video game episode, I kind of retired there when he had it figured out. But
some of the fatalities are just brutal.
I was playing to unlock the Predator. Like that's all it was, right? It's like, okay, I got the Predator. I'm good now. I'll see his fatalities. I mean, that's cool. But yeah, I mean, the advantage to Disney having the license is Disney's like, pay for this? Absolutely, we will lend you a character. Not a problem.
Just pay for it.
Yeah, and I think they could. That's probably something they're missing, is just a straight up fighting game for Star Wars.
Yeah, right? That's a possibility.
Give us a Street Fighter or a Mortal Kombat style, and it's just, okay, here's 50 Star Wars characters, because God knows they have the roster.
Mm-hmm.
Like Chewie versus Chrysanthemum.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, and sure, you may want to have like a team up thing. So I know the Capcom and Street Fighters, you could pick 2 and tag in and out. So I was like, well, you're tagging in and out 3PO and R2, and they're fighting 000 and BT1. And for those that don't know, because they haven't appeared really outside of anything but print, it's the evil version of C3PO and R2. And they are torture murder droids. Whereas R2 and C3PO are heroes. These guys, they are serial killers. They are CSI level monsters, and it's awesome. Yeah, and like, I think that would be cool. I would definitely, okay, well, Han Solo versus Darth Maul. Let's see how this turns out, right? So you got your
Darth Maul.
I would say not well for Han Solo. Just saying.
Could be. But you know what? Maybe you have that. You got that one special move. All you got to do is shoot him first.
Yeah, that's true.
Which, watching that unedited version, I don't know how anybody could even argue. Han definitely shot first. We'll get into that next week, though. But also, Harrison Ford does have a tendency to just. You did the same thing in Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, he did.
No, not playing. Just you're done. Not messing around with you today. And then I guess last but not least, we'll wrap this up. We'll make her a quick one. Toys. How did your Star Wars toys collections go? I mean, that was right in there with G.I. Joe and Transformers in the early to mid 80s.
You know what? I never took a lot in the Star Wars toys, right? So it was...
No, me either.
For me, it was Transformers and G.I. Joe mostly. I kept it to just the movies for Star Wars, honestly. I'm pretty sure I had some Star Wars stuff, but I can't remember. I think I had some Legos, Star Wars Legos at one point. But yeah.
And some of those these days are badass. Like,
hell yeah.
Going back to like this whole household I was at last night, for his very first paycheck from his very first job, their youngest son turned around and bought like a $400 Millennium Falcon Lego set.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I'm building
saw
an
that
APS
when I was over
right
there
now.
last summer, and I was like, can everybody turn around for a second? And also, I have to go. I was ready to rip that thing right off. I had a bunch. I had the Falcon. I had the Snowspeeder. I had a bunch of the characters. What got me is the G.I. Joe was just more playable because you just move the arms, the legs, and the head on the Star Wars toys.
Yeah.
Right? Like, whereas the G.I. Joe had the knees and the elbows, and it's honestly, it was kind of like a smaller version of He-Man that just, it wasn't as fun to play with because you couldn't do as much with it as you could with a G.I. Joe or a Transformer.
Well, especially
but I had the Falcon, and boy, was that fun.
Yeah, man.
So, have you guys seen the Harrison Ford thing on Conan O'Brien where the producer comes out with his Lego Millennium Falcon and asks him to sign it? And he falls on the chair and throws the thing behind him and it smashes onto the ground. It's like a 5,000. It's so.
Yeah. It's probably the same set that my buddy's kid has.
I'll post it in here because I have it up, but you guys can watch it after stream. I'll just post it in the comments.
We'll post that. We'll post that link on our show page on Facebook.
I posted it in the comments, so it should link up to my Facebook, but I'm not sure. It's at about the 2-minute mark. Honestly, it's freaking hilarious, man. Watch it after.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. This will probably show up if you're watching us on Twitch. If not, I will repost it to our Facebook page later. And then I was shown something, and I don't remember who showed it to me. It might have been one of you. If not, you're going to love it. Somebody found original dailies with audio of the shooting of several Star Wars scenes involving Chewbacca. You hear? No. That's all overdub. That's all ADR. To get the correct reactions from whoever Chewbacca was interacting with, Peter Mayhew gave English dialogue.
Oh, love it.
In his English accent.
Oh, yeah.
I will be posting some of these on our Facebook page later on. Please because you hear, it's kind of like when you look up Kenny's lines from South Park. It's like, that's what he was saying. And it's like, and then of course it's like this posh English accent delivering it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think part of it is Chewie's an engineer, he's a mechanic, he's a warrior, he's a badass. You would expect him to have some sort of like South London Cockney thug accent, but it's a very posh sort of upper crust English accent that's delivering the line, and it's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I will post some of that up. Final thoughts. Anything you guys got? I know Mike's got some stuff to do today.
I love Star Wars.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yep. Star Wars is great. It's universally loved, I think, no matter where you're from in the world. Who doesn't like laser swords and space wizards?
Yeah.
Honestly.
Even when it's done not very well.
That doesn't. But you know, she's younger, she's a Harry Potter fan, and she's wrong. Love her to death, but missed the boat on this one. That's the thing, is there's also this weird division between Star Wars and Star Trek. You can love both. That's cool.
I think one thing that they should definitely explore, which is definitely explored in a lot of IPs in the world, is the whole concept of, like, as I mentioned earlier, the Grey Jedi or the Dark Knight. You know, they do it in World of Warcraft with Illidan. They do it in StarCraft with like the assassins, the hidden assassins. I can't remember their names, but like in order to fight the demon, I must become the demon scenario. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's an unexplored thing of Star Wars that they really need to look at, you know?
Yeah. In wrestling, it's called the cool heel or the badass babyface.
The anti-hero, basically,
Badass babyface, you'd be looking at your Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yes, yeah.
Cool heel, I mean, honestly, also Stone Cold Steve Austin, depending on the earlier part of that career.
Rhea Ripley's a cool heel.
And your NWO.
Rhea Ripley too is a cool heel. I think
Rhea Ripley right now absolutely is.
She's cheered more than any heel, pretty much. Like, and she's supposed to be hated. So
yeah. So and that's I mean that gray area.
See what you did there.
Right? I mean, there are people that's like, well, I'm good up until this point, and then I'm not that great. And I think we all have that in us, at least to a degree. Some of us are just pricks.
I mean, if you want to use a Dungeons and Dragons scenario, right? You have paladins, which are lawful good. You have, people that are chaotic evil, and then you have your druids, which are like neutral.
Yes.
Where they want to balance the world. You can't lean all the way to one side. You can't lean all the way to the dark side. You can't lean all the way to the light side. You have to find balance between the two of them.
And
so
I think that's the thing in the last few years when people have been able to create these sort of photo collages where they'll do that grid of good, evil, neutral, and then the grid, and then they'll apply it to a show. You can absolutely apply it here, right? Like Han Solo is definitely a chaotic.
I guess
I don't know the whole grid, right? But
you know what? They really do that with the Mandalorian now that I think about it, because like the Mandalorian is definitely, he's not good. I mean, he's not evil either, but sometimes he does bad things.
He just toes the line, right?
So he's a good example of what I'm talking about. But then again, he's not a Jedi, so. But I don't know.
Just kidding.
I don't know. I haven't seen season 3. Did you just fucking spoil something for me? I'm gonna strangle you.
If he ends up being force sensitive, I'm done.
Why? No, he won't. He won't be force sensitive.
He's got his force puppy. He's fine.
Just like what's his nuts at the end of episode 9. It's like, fuck off. Finn being force sensitive. It's like,
I like it.
No, it was stupid.
I like it. I think if they don't lean into it,
go back to the Revenge of the Sith, there, bro.
I will. And I will like it. And I will watch my pod race every day too.
Oh my god.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, we would work it in the theater when Phantom Menace came out. We had the pod race timed. We would go in and it's like, oh, I got to make sure that everything's okay in the theater for 6.5 minutes. I just got to make sure, because there was some things that were.
I would have rather seen Poe be force sensitive than Finn. Finn was horrible. He was just the worst. He was the worst character.
He's a good character.
He wasn't. He was terrible.
I think you guys underappreciate how good the last 3 are.
Come back in December for the anniversary of the sequel trilogies, and we will get into a bunch more arguments.
This is fact.
No.
Yeah, I think, and then the Star Wars fan base, we are all in. We will argue amongst each other, but the second you try to tell us we are wrong, we are both going to turn on you. It's like
that is also
fighting.
It's like anything that's so insanely popular with such a huge audience. You're going to have the people that like certain things.
It's polarizing, right?
What is? It's like a new Metallica album. It's, some people like it, some people don't. I'm maybe still at a 3.5 to 4 on the old Randy Marsh.
I'm back to a 3.
I haven't been listening to it very often. I found my few songs that I like, but anyways, who cares? But it's the same thing. You can't please everybody. So maybe I like the prequels because I have kids, and when they saw them, they were little and they got a lot of enjoyment. So I look at it through their eyes. As we watched the original trilogy when we were their age, I'm watching it with the same kind of thought process. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There's also a higher expectation with something like Star Wars or something like with Metallica, right? Like if a show came out that you've never heard of that looks interesting and you watch it and you're like, yeah, this is pretty good. Yeah. But as soon as you put Star Wars on it or Metallica on it, then you're expecting a higher, an elevated experience, right? So
I can hate Finn all I want. So
no, you can't.
I can.
Finn is.
All he does is yell, Ray, where are you, Ray? Like, go away. We don't care.
Tell us how you really feel.
I will. I know it'd been really cool if Phasma was forced. If she was some sort of dark Sith, that'd have been cool.
Yeah, I honestly thought that was coming.
That's what I was hoping for.
I think they missed something there. I think they missed the boat with her. She was a very popular character for this series.
Another wasted death in Star Wars, right?
Yeah, she was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I think they also missed, because there was, what they call him, like the baton trooper or something in The Force Awakens, where he comes out and he's swinging his baton around like a nunchuck and all this stuff, and he was a badass, and everybody thought he was as cool as shit, and then we just never went back to him. Nope. It's like
no time. They had to just keep going. get as much shit in there as they possibly could.
Yeah, maybe have him pop up, and he's the guy that just beats the piss out of Finn for 2 movies, and then Finn finally gets him in the 3rd.
He finally realizes he can use the Force.
Someone needed to die in those movies.
A major character dies in those movies. What are you talking about?
No, I think it's like kind of like Jedi's problem. Like Harrison Ford in Jedi, he wanted his character to be sacrificed. It would have made for a better story. Like, sure, I don't know. It's just me.
Well, which one did he die in?
He died.
Force Awakens.
The first one, right?
Yeah.
8. No.
Spoiler.
7. He died in 7.
7. Correct. Yeah. Yes. I had
by his son.
That never works out well when I have to math. All right, boys. Well, it's been fun. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
No, the real quick. Did you ever watch Adam Driver on SNL when he does Undercover Boss as Kylo Ren? You should go watch it. It's so fucking funny, really man. Funny. It's so good. He's like, "Hi, I'm Jeff. What do you think about that Kylo Ren?" You should watch it. It's on YouTube. It's really good.
It sounds like we're going to be posting a lot of stuff on the Facebook page this week.
He was my favorite part of the whole sequel trilogy.
Adam Driver. He was really good. They cast him perfectly, actually.
Yeah. Awesome. And he's still rocking the hair all these years later. He's still got it.
Well, yeah, he's got to rock the hair because he's probably going to be Severus Snape in the HBO Harry Potter reboot.
Let's not get into weaker franchises.
I've only seen the first Harry Potter movie, and that's it. So
they're really good, actually.
I'm good. I have no time in my life for that.
But yet you're going to watch every single Star Wars and read every single Star Wars book.
I've seen every single Star Wars multiple times.
Be open to the Force, Mike. Be open to Finn as a Jedi. Be open to it all.
The Disneyfication of Star Wars. That's what fucking Finn is. Fuck that. Anyways.
Fuck that.
I never liked Finn. I'm sorry. It's not my fault.
All right. Well,
he was supposed to be the chosen one, Mike.
Yeah, go pick up your garbage, Finn. That's what you need to keep doing.
Oh, boy.
Anyways.
Wow.
All right.
Okay, so join us at the end of the month. We're going to be getting Mike and Seb in the same room. I will be refereeing, and it will be a bare knuckle boxing. Or we might just save it all up and just have a 3-way scrap in the streets before Iron Maiden in October.
Oh, sure. There you go.
We'll get a whole video package together. It'll be a great WWE style.
We won't argue. There'll be no arguing about that.
We'll get Sarah to referee the triple threat match.
All right. I mean, I'm going to lose then. But yeah, thanks. I think we've sort of cap her off here. Join us next week. We are going to be at an inn of scum and villainy. We're going to cover everything from the original Star Wars. It has a title, but I think the title is stupid, so I'm not going to say it.
A New Hope.
A New Hope.
That's the one.
Which
I think it's good. It's fine.
I like it.
What's wrong with A New Hope?
Yeah, just doesn't work for me.
Just like Padme told Obi-Wan, there's good in him. I know there is.
You know what? There is, and I'm going to look this up for next week. Somebody sat down and swapped all of the titles from all of the movies and made them make more sense.
Yeah, I've seen that before. It was a long time ago, but yeah.
I think
Galaxy Far, Far Away.
A New Hope was actually, they swapped it with The Force Awakens.
Which actually makes a lot of sense.
A lot more sense.
Yeah, it does.
Right?
And I think they called A New Hope The Rise of Skywalker, wasn't it?
Yes. Something like that.
Because it literally...
Yeah.
I think it was, yeah.
I'm sorry, I had the movie swapped in my brain for a minute. But... yeah, thanks for spending your morning with us, ladies and gentlemen. Remember to like and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. 5-star ratings are cool. We'd like to grow the show, so please share with your friends. Even we do stuff. We cover a lot of stuff.
And if you have ideas for future shows as well, let us know.
Oh, absolutely. Drop us a line either on our Facebook page or on our email at theinpod@gmail.com. Give us some ideas. Take some work off our plate. And if you would like us to read sponsorship ads, we are whores and will take money to do so. Not a problem.
He's a whore. This one.
Well, we all are. Come on.
I take money to do things. I have no problem saying that. I got a job.
Yeah.
We all got jobs.
We all got jobs.
All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
And give in to the dark side.
You are the chosen one.